Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. My name is Reg Smith and I'm your MC for today's meeting of Rotary Melbourne. Once again, we're broadcasting from multiple locations, and if you have difficulties during today's meeting, please be assured we'll be loading a video recording and podcast of today's meeting on Rotary Melbourne's website in a day or so. A gentle reminder to consider making a donation to Rotary Melbourne's Fighting Fund, which relies on your donations to assist those among us who are experiencing financial difficulties as a result of the COVID-19 crisis. You can find the link to make your contributions through the Try Booking site with Try Booking by tapping the Fighting Fund link on the front page of the Rotary Melbourne website. Please note that most microphones right now will be muted for the duration of the presentations today. Questions and comments can be posed via the chat function throughout the presentation. Today's thanks will be given by President-elect Marion McLeod, followed by the Loyal Toast, which will be presented by President Kevin Sheehan. Please ensure your glass or whatever other vessel you happen to be drinking from right now is fully charged. Thank you. Over to you, Marion.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. As we head to the winter solstice this Sunday and slowly awake from the isolation of the pandemic, we can reflect on what a long way we've come together. And there will be some way to go yet. But with the help of our wonderful Zoom team of Joe Mavris, Reg Smith, and President Kevin, we have managed to keep meeting and maintaining fellowship. Whilst much has been changing around us, as Rotarians, we have managed to sail to the midwinter together and have shown how adaptable we are and how we have continued the good work of Rotary, especially helping those in the bushfire-affected areas. Even in those moments when it seems that life can be truly challenging, when we pause and reflect on the good fortune we have to be in Australia, let us be thankful for that good fortune and grateful for all that we have.
Rotarians and guests, I'm pleased to give you a toast to Australia and Rotary International. Australia and Rotary International. Thank you, Marion, and welcome to our visiting Rotarians and guests and members of Rotary Melbourne today. This is our 46th meeting of the Rotary year. In fact, our 14th meeting conducted in what has become the new normal, our online format. Today is a special meeting when we will hear from our Vice Presidents, Cynthia Edgell and David Carruthers, as they deliver their annual reports. Also waiting online, we've got Christina Boyes, who will be inducted into membership shortly. With Christina, she's accompanied by her sponsor, Mandy Wendt, and a number of Rotarian supporters, including our Zone 8 Director, Jessie Harmon. And as a final special mention, we have with us today Meredith Bucknell and Ian Evans, who will both be recognised as Paul Harris Fellows. A warm welcome to you all. And now for the induction of Christina Boyes into membership of Rotary Melbourne. I'll ask her sponsor, Mandy Wendt, to formally introduce Christina. Over to you, Mandy.
Thank you, President Kevin. It gives me much pleasure to introduce for membership of the club Christina Boyes, who holds the position of Senior Application Support Specialist in the Department of Health and Human Services. Christina will have the classification of Information Technology Health. She is a former member of the Rotary Club of Lavington Point Cook and also of Wyndham. She will be a member of Central 2 Group and will be known in the club as Christina.
Thank you, Mandy. Christina, we welcome you as a member of the Rotary Club of Melbourne. You've been chosen because your fellow members believe you to be a leader in your vocation and have the personal and professional qualities that will ensure the principles of Rotary will be safe in your hands. As a former member of the Rotary Clubs of Lavington Point Cook and Wyndham, you you are already experienced in the application and object of Rotary. And with the help of your fellow members, you'll, I'm sure, quickly feel comfortable in the companionship and service of Rotary Melbourne. The Rotary badge, which you've received by special delivery, is, as you well know, your entry to thousands of Rotary clubs around the world. Christina, we welcome you most warmly into continued membership of Rotary. And with this expectation, I offer you the right hand of fellowship and ask members join with me in welcoming Christina Boys to our membership. And now, Christina, we'd be delighted if you'd respond.
Thank you, Kevin. I first of all would like to thank the club members for their warm welcome to the club. Zoom meetings seem impersonal to a lot of people, but I've certainly got a great feel for the club, and I've also had some phone calls from people. I look forward to participating in the projects and activities of the club, of which there are many, and meeting everyone at the club at a later date. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. And yes, I do note that you've been a regular online with us. I think you've enjoyed our blockbuster meetings, and we've still got a few more to come.
Yeah.
And now to two special presentations, to Meredith Bucknell and Ian Evans. Firstly, the recognition as a Paul Harris Fellow was established in 1957 in honour of Paul Harris, who founded Rotary in 1905. It's a tradition of this club and many others in this part of the world to honour, by naming them as Paul Harris Fellows, members and non-members who have helped build a better world by their understanding, contributions to the club and or to the community. People who practice the Rotary motto of service above self to a notable degree. And today we're recognising two worthy people. The first is Meredith Bucknell. And it's an honour to recognise this special lady as a Paul Harris Fellow, for she has served the interests of Rotary Melbourne for the last 13 years in a beneficial way as the wife of one of our distinguished members. Raised in a real estate family and a graduate of Monash University with a Bachelor of Arts in Geography, Meredith continued her studies in town and regional planning at Melbourne University and practiced professionally as a town planner. She met her husband at Monash University and later as a mother followed his work assignments to Sydney and covered his long sojourn in Singapore whilst raising two sons and a daughter in Melbourne. The most cheerful and intuitive person one could ever meet. This lady is best described as having immensely strong family values and boundless energy, having supported her husband in all that he has achieved and in more recent times, all that he has endured. There are accolades aplenty during my behind-the-scenes chats with family and friends, and rephrasing of the famous quote resonated so well when it was said to me that, behind every great woman, there is potential of a great man. Meredith Bucknell, for sustained dedication to supporting the outstanding contribution of your husband, Hugh, continues to make to Rotary Melbourne, District 9800, and indeed the Rotary world in delivering our centenary next year and the 2023 International Convention. And for your individual contribution to numerous on-to-conference treks, group home hosting and fundraising that you have so graciously undertaken. It gives me great pleasure to name you on behalf of the board and members of the Rotary Club of Melbourne a Paul Harris Fellow. Meredith, I know that this recognition came as a most unexpected surprise to you and Hugh when I waltzed into your home last week, and I acknowledge today that he and members of your family are online with us. Your Paul Harris pin and citation will be delivered to you shortly, and would members now please join me in congratulating Meredith Bucknell. And I now invite Meredith to respond.
Thank you very much, Kevin. As I said to you last week, I was actually speechless, which is an unusual thing to occur in my life, and very honoured. And so thank you and all the Rotary members. Although not a member myself, I was brought up in a Rotary family. My father was a charter member of Box Hill and a president, and so I grew to understand through his long involvement just what community service can bring. And through that, we got lots of long-standing family friends, just as we have now through Hugh's involvement in Melbourne Rotary. And it just was very obvious to me when he returned from overseas after 6 years and had sort of got out of Melbourne life a bit. It was obvious to me that to suggest that he should join Rotary to provide a new focus to his life in Melbourne. And I'm really glad I did, because it's just been a wonderful focus, and it's allowed him to keep on honing those skills that he developed in his corporate life, and it's added to our lives considerably through the friendships and the fellowship that we've gained through Rotary Melbourne. So thank you very much for this honour. I have enjoyed every minute of being involved. It's been great. So thank you.
Thank you, Meredith. And the ride continues through 2021 and 2023 and beyond, I'm sure. And now for Ian Evans. Ian was inducted into the Rotary Club of Melbourne on the 12th of September 2009 with the classification State Government Transport, and is an active member of the Bayside Toorak No. 2 group, and his sponsor was Chris Knight. Ian quickly became well known in the club as chairman of the new member committee, and over the years his contribution to extending our membership has been relentless. Achieving some 30 members in 2015-16 was largely due to Ian's efforts, and was hailed as a first-class example of service above self, which led to Ian being the recipient that year of the Axel Award. In subsequent years, Ian has put hours of work into fostering the interests of prospective members. Since 2012, Ian has served as our new membership chair, and since 2015 has been a member of the Membership Review Committee and a mentor to many members. Rotary Melbourne's membership engagement strategy was primarily focused to ensuring members are involved in areas that best suit them to achieve an enhanced membership experience for both new and existing members. In his endeavour, Ian was involved in many initiatives undertaken to improve the engagement throughout the entire membership cycle, with the mentoring program, code of conduct, surveys, the lifestyle retiree event, obtaining feedback from corporate members, conducting exit interviews, and rewriting the membership review process with President of the Day, Mary Barry. Notably, the efforts of our membership team were recognised by District Governor Bronwyn Stevens in conferring a 2018-19 District 9800 recognition for implementing a successful membership engagement project. Now it's time to recognise the meritorious service that Ian has truly rendered to Rotary Melbourne over the past 11 years. And I wish to acknowledge that today Ian has his wife Helen with him at home. Shortly, Ian will be transferring to Rotary Nunawading, and he leaves us with our very best wishes and our deep gratitude. Ian, for a sustained commitment to service above self, it gives me pleasure to name you on behalf of the board and members of the Rotary Club of Melbourne a Paul Harris Fellow. Your Paul Harris pin and citation will be delivered to you, and now would members please join me in congratulating Ian as I ask him to respond. Over to you, Ian.
Thank you, President Kevin. It is with an honour and indeed a huge surprise to receive a Paul Harris Fellow. When I became a member 11 years ago, I had a clear picture of what I wanted to do for the club, and that was to become involved in membership development and or new membership as it's now known. Living in Mitcham and working for the state government, did present some limitations on my availability from many club activities, but with lunchtime meetings, it presented a wonderful opportunity for me to be able to attend nearly all meetings and to meet and greet prospective members. I guess 3 or 4 highlights for me over the time, and Kevin's mentioned some of them, but we did get the 30 members in 2016 with under President Peter Rogers. It was the Axel Award in the same year. I would estimate over 120 members have been inducted during my time in this role, and I made contact with many hundreds of other guests who have come along to lunch to see how this wonderful club functioned. I guess another thing that I was able to contribute was to the membership development package. It's really just a one-stop package where it has made it much easier for prospective members to complete and understand what is required for membership of this club. A few additional thoughts. I've always believed that to have any success in this current role, one needed to have that time, energy and commitment. Since I was always conscious of, for our club to be able to do the wonderful things that we've needed to do in the past 100 years, and to be able to continue to do that, we needed to have new members and the accompanying skills that they bring. Just a few votes of thanks, or thanks to people that have been around me and I've known. Firstly, I'd like to thank my wife Helen, our sons Matthew and Greg, family members for their support over the years, to the Nunawading Rotary Club. I know that some are watching, Gabby in particular, Gabby Napple, our president, is watching. I would also like to acknowledge long-time American friends Sally and Richard Graham from Jefferson City West Rotary Club in Missouri. They were telling me in an email last night that Richard's father was a friend of Paul Harris. And finally, I want to congratulate President Kevin for outstanding leadership this year, particularly during the unprecedented impact of COVID-19. And I also want to wish incoming President Marion McLeod a wonderful year. Thanks very much, Kevin.
Thank you, Ian, for those kind words. And I'm sure Marion would join me in saying that our loss is Nunawading's gain. But we know that you're still a friend of Rotary Melbourne, and we still look forward to seeing you so often. And one of your other Nunawading colleagues, Ian Armstrong, a past president, is also online today. Continuing with the end of the year member recognitions, today we recognise the efforts of a newer member of Rotary Melbourne. The Royce Abbey Award was established by the Rotary Club of Essendon to recognise their member, who was also our honorary member, past International President Royce Abbey, and adopted by the Rotary Melbourne Board to be conferred on a member who is relatively new to the club, who has not been awarded a Paul Harris Fellow recognition and is accepted by the members, has a good attendance record and has demonstrated strong commitment to and complies with the object of Rotary. Each club in adopting the award program contributes $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation in Royce and Jean Abbey Endowment Fund, used for humanitarian services to enhance the capabilities of food processors, foresters, and other agricultural environment research and university teachers from developing countries. In 2020, the Royce Abbey awardee is Michaela Scafaci, who was inducted on the 22nd of May 2019 with the classification Employment Skills Training, and is a member of the TURAC No. 1 group, and her sponsor was Stephanie Woolard. Michaela has been actively involved in the Think Tank Committee, the Evening Meetings Program, the Horizons Committee, and jumped in to support our Speakers Committee for our regular weekly meetings when needed in recent times. Significantly, for the next Rotary year, 2020-21, Michaela will be our Director of Club Events and Fundraising. Michaela is a graduate of the Melbourne and Monash Universities in Law and Commerce and Risk Management. As a qualified lawyer, she was admitted to the High Court of Australia and held several senior roles in corporate settings in the area of insurance, risk, governance, and regulatory compliance. She taught insurance law at Monash in Melbourne, has completed the Williamson Community Leadership Program at Leadership Victoria, and was a finalist for the Telstra Businesswoman of the Year 2000. 5 years ago, Michaela transitioned to the non-for-profit sector with Legacy Melbourne, Kidney Health Australia, and was Deputy Chair of CRES before founding her own NGO, Women Can, a social benefit company that seeks to connect women with training and employment opportunities and to facilitate peer-led networks that support women to thrive in the workplace and treat them with dignity as respect matters. Michaela mentioned to me that at a very early age, in fact, the age of 14, she had an introduction to Rotary when she won a Rotary public speaking competition. For having demonstrated great commitment to Rotary Melbourne and for contributing vast experience to the implementation of our community service projects, our 2020 Royce Abbey awardee is a most worthy Michaela Scavacci. Please join me in congratulating Michaela as I ask her to respond. Over to you, Michaela.
Well, thank you very much, President Kevin. It was such a thrill to be awarded this, particularly because of the connection to vocational training and Asia Pacific. Of course, many of you may not know I grew up in Papua New Guinea, so for me, the opportunity to help bring training and education and then employment to those places is really important. So it was a real thrill, and I have to just say I'm enjoying every moment of my time with Rotary. I'm certainly doing the best I can, and I've really enjoyed being a part of it. So thank you so much. I'm very grateful.
You're most welcome, Michaela. Thank you, and we wish you well as part of President Marion's board next year. And now just a couple of quick notices before the main event. The changeover evening is next week, and it also includes a raffle. So an email containing the event flyer was sent out to all members on Friday, and it appeared again in a terrific bulletin that was prepared by Dorothy this week. Do make sure you're registered via Try Booking, where there is an opportunity to enter the raffle if you like, the prize being a bottle of Grange. President-elect Marion invites you to come dressed up, and if you feel like it, certainly be ready for a drink with lots of fun being planned. Fellowship in smaller groups from 6 p.m. and the changeover commences 6:30 p.m. That's next Wednesday. The coffee club again will be on Friday at 10:30, so do join us for a chat. It's a lot of fun. And the annual appeal, just a reminder that support is sought from all our members for the annual appeal giving, which underwrites the humanitarian project work we undertake each year. Your support will be greatly appreciated. And now for the Vice President's reports. It's my distinct pleasure to call upon Vice Presidents David Carruthers and Cynthia Edgell, two of the best vice presidents I could have ever had to ride the challenges of this Rotary year and deliver so much in humanitarian service and administration of Rotary Melbourne. This is their reporting opportunity that will inform, amaze and enthuse us with the workings of our club over the last 12 months. Over to you, David and Cynthia.
Thank you, President Kevin. The format of the report for this year will be along the following lines. After some initial summary comments, we'll review the 3 humanitarian services areas. Phil Cornish is going to speak, a colourful presentation indeed, on community service. And then it's back to me to review international service, as Peter Addison, the director for that area, is an apology for today. We'll then pass to Bernie McIntosh, who'll review the youth and vocational service areas. Then a completely different change of scene. Cynthia Edgell will take over proceedings at that point. and review what happens in the club management and communications areas. To quote from one of many YouTube clips, but then in 2020, a new virus came our way. The governments reacted and told us to hide away. Despite these circumstances, our club has continued to deliver service above self with a more creative approach than before to around 80 projects. In an environment of depressed financial markets, these activities were made possible by funding from private individuals, foundations, and other Rotary connections such as clubs, district, and the Rotary Foundation. And it may surprise you to hear that to date we've raised over $285,000, which excludes any funds we might get from the annual appeal, which of course, as you're aware, is underway at the moment. Special projects this year include the R100 Give Every Child a Future vaccination program. While dissemination has been deferred due to COVID-19, processes are in place to recommence when possible. Rotary Safe Families produced 2 high-quality videos focusing on domestic violence and elder abuse. The acceleration of the trauma relief in response to bushfires and the virus. The Hepatitis Awareness and Reduction Program with Burnett Institute and Hepatitis Victoria to remove this debilitating disease from an ongoing health threat. And so, when we find a cure for COVID-19 and are allowed to go outside, will we prefer the world we find to the one we left behind? And will every act of kindness be given its due? With that thought, I'll pass you over to Phil. Phil, thanks.
Thank you, David. Can everyone see the screen now? Well, I thought I'd take a change from talking heads, as terrific as all the heads that have been on so far have been, and work you through. It's been if I can, there we are. So it's been a different year this year, as President Kevin would know best, but the bushfires and the pandemic have had an effect. Now, we've had to pivot a little bit. This isn't Jim Orchard, although he's done a lot of work with the caravans. This is from Unsplash. It's a picture file process. He's helped organise caravans for accommodation for people who've now been homeless with the bushfires. And that's in both the north and the east of the state. And Jim, I think, is still looking for volunteers to assist in delivering some of those. The other pandemic response has meant that our long-standing tradition of having people go around getting food for second bite has got to be suspended. But we have found that there are a greater need for food banks and the like. We're looking at ways that we can still help with that. This photo is actually an older one of international students going to a Salvation Army process from the age. And we know that we've got Rotarians who have been supporting our international students and others who are unable to afford basic goods at this stage. Housing, I just want to acknowledge James Puller, who's online. Thank you, James. James has stepped back from leading our housing program, but Richard Parker has taken over. Jim Orchard is heavily involved again, as in Chris Wang. We do a terrific volunteering thing, which is assembling, putting together the goods required for a new home for homeless people as they move in. For community services around the Bay, from us, which is possibly one of our biggest volunteer opportunities. And you can see Robin and some of our other people there, dressed in their lycra. I'm sorry I couldn't blow that up for you, Robin. We do that with the Smith family. We raised $20,750 through that. We've also done some work at trauma, some of it acquired through war and other things, but a lot of it, of course, will be the bushfires. And that's a picture of a couple of veterans in the USSR who I'm sure have got very good EMDR assistance. And one of the other highlights, I think, of the year was the John Reed Award with Libby Clark, who was a recipient from a very special kids. We've all become public health providers by washing our hands. Hepatitis awareness raising, and thank you to Peter Clark and others, has been one of our major items. It was first in person when we went around to different clubs, then virtual, and one might almost say viral. And of course, with End Trachoma, which is a separate program, we were reminded about the basic hygiene issues. Lift for Lid is awareness for mental health. And again, in terms of a recipient award, the Seniors Award of Dr. Rodney Syme will be remembered by many people. Rotary Health is continuing to assist research. Safe families, it's a reminder to all of us that this is an issue for all strands of society, not just the ones that we often think about. And if the people in the black and white were still around, they'd certainly be vulnerable to elder abuse. But congratulations to Dorothy Gilmore, Mary Barry and Graham O'Donnell. We produced some terrific video clips which are now being used around the world. Have a look, and certainly we know we're getting good feedback from around the globe in relation to that. International Women's Day, again, a fantastic event with over 1,000 people attending. 80% were non-Rotarians. Again, it's one of our bigger volunteer opportunities if people are interested. 40% were men, 70% were corporates. We had 8 sponsored, and we were able to make distributions to charities at the end of that. Although I'm not sure that I realised that at the end of that presentation, it would be the last social event that my wife and I would be attending for a number of months. So it was terrific that we got that in. So thank you. Back to you, David.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Phil. Let me just adjust my screen. And we'll look at the international services side of the humanitarian services activities. There are 3 committees that are active in this area, the first of which is the East Timor Committee, and the club continues to support the annual rental of the DOK store and contribute to its management. In early January, a donation from a Californian-based not-for-profit delivered the club with around 400,000 face masks, which were distributed in very short time frame from the store to the bushfire-affected areas of Australia, a significant achievement. The club continues to contribute to the freight costs of goods sent to Timor-Leste and also supports the Dili Rotary Liaison Office through Rotarians Helping Timor. We shipped a playground in conjunction with the Victorian government and arranged for the supervision of its erection in Timor. The Rotary Club of Melbourne Foundation Committee is responsible for overseeing the donations that the Rotary Club of Melbourne makes to the Rotary Foundation, which run at $20,000 a year, with a further $5,000 a year going to the End Polio Now campaign. Other avenues of club donations include Paul Harris Fellowships and private donations, mostly through Every Rotarian Every Year and the Paul Harris Society. These monies are returned to the club through designated district grants, peace fellowships, global grants, vocational training, and Royce Abbey scholarships. The International Programs Committee obviously over the past few years has had a strong water focus. The Barra water supply project in the Philippines has, however, stalled since the initial borehole was drilled, but found to be affected by water flow and salination problems. Limited support from local partners, GHD and Rotary Club of Lucena Central during 2019 caused frustrating delays. GHD has now promised to undertake more flow rate and water quality tests on the borehole, but work has been suspended due to the coronavirus restrictions in the Philippines. However, sufficient funds are still available to enable that project to be completed. A Kama school water supply. The Australian-based builder of the project went to EP Island in Vanuatu in 2019 to complete this project, but scheduled deliveries of building materials had not occurred. He had to return to Australia for his own building activities. Work has recommenced in 2020 with local contractors working under the guidance of the Australian-based builder. No Rotary Club of Melbourne funds have been used for this project. Empowering youth in Cambodia is an ongoing project we have. This program provides social assistance to financially disadvantaged students in Phnom Penh. High potential students are given assistance to attend selected schools. The program has been very effective and provided good outcomes for assisting students. School building project in Nepal, the project to rebuild the roof of the school building destroyed in the earthquake in Gorkha has been successfully completed. Other contributions to various projects include 2 donations of 2,000 each made for disaster relief in Phnom Penh, where fire destroyed a number of houses and family businesses, and for victims of Cyclone Harold in Vanuatu. A $5,000 donation was made through WeHi for the purchase of 2 microcentrifuges, which are used in the research of malaria and identifying a cure. Annual donations of $2,000 were made to the Rotarians in against malaria, RAM, and Rotary Oceania Medical Aid for Children, more commonly known as ROMAC. A donation of $5,000 was made to send an interclass team to Vanuatu to train local medical staff in plastic and reconstructive surgery. And the Rotary Centenary Vaccination Program, better known as Give Every Child a Future. Solid progress has been made to establish the program to vaccinate around 500,000 children in 9 Pacific Basin countries. The Asian Development Bank will fund the cost of the 5 largest countries, whilst the Rotary Clubs of Melbourne, Sydney, Wellington, and Auckland will be funding the other countries. Global grants have been obtained together with corporate and charitable contributions. Our club will be making a further contribution of $50,000 next year, much of which will be raised externally. UNICEF will oversee the project, which will commence shortly. So thank you for listening to those comments. I'll now pass to Bernie McIntosh to review the year in vocational services. Bernie.
Thank you, David. Okay, the first committee that reports through to me is the 0808 committee, chaired this year by Peter Davis. The highlight of the year was the awarding of the Monash Medal for Leadership, Integrity and Service to Major General Jim Barry. And my phone is, Siri is looking for my phone at the moment. Sorry about that. Apologies. Yes, so the Monash Medal was awarded for Leadership, Integrity and Service to Jim Barry. Jim's an Australian businessman, well known to our club, an Army Reserve officer and sports administrator. His appointments have included Commander of the 3rd Division, Executive Member of the Australian Olympic Committee, and President of the Australian Gymnastics Federation. He's been a wonderful supporter of our club and its activities for many years, particularly with our service at the Shrine each year on August the 8th. The Arts Committee this year was chaired by David Cram. The Arts Committee epitomises the values the Rotary Club of Melbourne places on arts as a contributor to society wellbeing. It provides a focus for fellowship and engages in projects relevant to other vocational and welfare committees within the club. 3 significant highlights for the year was firstly the formal partnership with the Hush Foundation, and then fellowship events, the NGV Winter Masterpieces event, and more recently the architectural walk through Collingwood led by Barbara Rondes, which was quite a feat in this COVID environment to all those who experienced it. The Indigenous Programs Committee this year was chaired by Quinn Scalzo. Highlights this year include the finalising of the John Mitchell Scholarship, which was funded by Rotary Melbourne for the support of a student at the Melbourne Indigenous Transition School. The Entracoma 2020 second face washing station trailer has been launched, and we are exploring the possibility of a 3rd trailer. Relationships to assist with maintenance and ongoing operational issues have been established with the Rotary Club of Darwin and the Catherine West Health Board. And finally, the committee has also discussed the possibility of arranging a visit to the Doingy and making it available to club members in 2021. But obviously we shall see what transpires there. Rotary Park was chaired by Peter Bailey this year. There were 2 tree dedications this year. The first in September by RI President Mark Maloney, and the second in November by past RI President Ravi Ravindran. This year, the high level of support from the staff of the City of Melbourne and their contractors has been very important in enabling the committee to meet tight deadlines for the tree dedications, but thanks to them. Vocational Services was chaired by Iqbal Rita this year. Highlights included celebrating 3 young achievers, and recently we heard their stories as presented by Peter Hollingworth. Olivia Beasley, who is an advocate and role model for the deaf. Injano Singha-Hebue, a passion for helping others. And Hiba Abd El Hamid, who works with community work in diversity and inclusion. And finally, the Welfare of the Young Committee, which this year was chaired by Robert Thompson. Highlights from the Welfare of the Young for 2020 include a helping hand to the Western Chances and 2 students there, where we fund and provide mentoring support to enable the completion of tertiary education and to assist with employment. We held another successful day at the zoo, a Kevin Simkus Day at the Zoo, arranged by Ted Garland. Thank you, Ted. We sponsored 5 girls to the National Youth Science Forum this year. We sponsored a district scholarship to a Melbourne College girls student this year to assist with the costs of education. We offered seminars and work experience to candidates identified by the Brotherhood of St Lawrence. We recently contributed to the AFRI Ozcare Food Project with a number of cluster clubs. We've approved the development of a sailing simulator to assist with disabled and troubled youth. And we assisted the Rotary Clubs of Richmond and Macedon Rangers with their student exchange program. We're grateful to the Peter Mackay Trust for its financial support of the Welfare of the Young Committee. And we recognise the work of Ken Badnock and Ted Garland in embedding that relationship within the club. Thank you. And now I would like to introduce our VP, Cynthia Edgell, please.
Thank you, Bernie. I'd like to begin by thanking 3 people. First, President Kevin, having the faith that I'd get well enough to take up my VP role. Second, Barbara Urondis, last year's VP, who generously agreed to continue in the position until I was back. And finally, David Carruthers, my co-VP, who's done a lot of the heavy lifting and shared the load. I also want to acknowledge my 4 directors, Dorothy Gilmore, Amanda Wendt, Adrian Nelson, and Peter Davis, for their ongoing support. Their teams play critical roles in the operation of Rotary Melbourne, which supports all the good works you've heard about from David. The fact that you may not be aware of what they do is because they do it so efficiently. Lunch meetings, until the recent situation, ran like clockwork, thanks to the reception committee under Richard Skinner, the lunch committee under Peter Washerson, who set it all up and then put it all away. Evening meetings have had a new lease of life under the dynamic leadership of Michaela Stafracci. Groups are nurtured by Captain Phil Endersby, and corporate issues overseen by Peter Davis. And there, for everyone, is the unflappable, all-knowing, incomparable Joe Mavros, who always has her finger on the pulse of the club. 2019-20 has certainly been a year of change for club meetings. In spring, there was a delightful lunch at Coombe Cottage in the Yarra Valley. Next, an evening meeting was upgraded to an all-of-club event. And thirdly, the Women in Rotary breakfast in March was treated as a club meeting. As Phil said, as it turned out, just in time, for then the sky fell in. The pandemic was amongst us, no more congregating. Suddenly, we were all confined to home. Zoom, a technology new to many, entered our lives and kept us virtually together. Suddenly we got a peep into everybody's houses. We're all in our casual gear. No more dressing in formals and travelling into the city. Suddenly everyone was available, with time on their hands and eager to see each other. Attendance has been 50% above normal lunches, and the number of other Rotarians and guests, some from overseas, has been impressive. Without skipping a beat, President Kevin kept the meetings going. He was able to attract high-profile, busy people as speakers who would not have been able to find the time to come to the Sofitel. On the 18th of March, our first online, we were addressed by our honorary member, the remarkable Nobel laureate, Professor Peter Doherty, on the impact of the COVID-19 virus. That video has been viewed over 8,000 times and is testament to its timeliness and interest. Next, our member Hugh Bucknell threw down the gauntlet with "Never waste a good crisis." Lessons he'd learned from being in the SARS outbreak in Singapore 18 years ago. He urged us to stick with the tried and true and maintain stability in the short to medium term, but assured us that the landscape will change and provide fertile ground to innovate. We enjoyed such high-profile figures as Professor Hugh Taylor, AC, John Bertrand, AO, Nev Power, former club member and chairman of the PM's NCCC, and most recently, honorary member and Nobel laureate Tilman Ruff introduced another honorary member and Australia's chief scientist, Dr. Alan Finkel, AO. What a remarkable, inspiring presentation that was. Have we wasted a good crisis? I suspect not. In our club and everywhere, there's a fundamental rethink going on about the value and efficiency of conducting meetings online, maximising members' time and making it more doable for busy people. This will certainly be an element in attracting new people to join and lend their expertise. Membership Director Mandy Wendt will now give her report. Over to you, Mandy.
Thank you very much, Cynthia, and thank you so much for your leadership as the Vice President in this space as well. I'm very pleased to report on the membership achievements of the Membership Committee for this year. 2 years ago, when I came in as the Membership Director, I put together a strategy to recruit and engage members, and it's been the collective efforts of the chairs and the leaders to really bring that strategy to life. So first up, I really want to thank Peter Rogers, Robert, Michael, Shanti, Ian, Ari, Peter Dakin and Reg for all of the hard work that they've given in this space. We certainly started the year off on a high, coming off the District Award for Membership Engagement from the work that Mary Barry and Mark Pinoli did last year. And this year, I'm pleased to say that we've got a lot to be proud of as well. So we've continued to attract and welcome a very high calibre of corporate and not-for-profit leaders to Rotary Melbourne this year. We inducted 9 new members and conferred honorary membership on Tony Koski and Mev Connell. We set a strategy at the end of the year, or a goal, a target for 20 new members in 2020. Originally that was to be by the 30th of June of 2020, but I'm very confident that by the end of the calendar year 2020, we will in fact achieve that. We were well on track to achieve that particular goal pre-COVID-19, but what has been really encouraging is that since June's rolled around and there's more certainty in the market, we've seen a renewed interest in those membership applications. So I'm very pleased to be handing over a very healthy pipeline to the new membership committee. This year also saw us induct a new corporate member, Red R, which is something that we haven't done for about 5 years. And it's really been great to see Red R already engaged broadly across the club, with district and also internationally, showing what is possible from a corporate partnership with Rotary Melbourne. And you'll be hearing more from Red R in the coming weeks, as well as they'll be one of our up and coming guest speakers. So please make sure you get along to that meeting to hear more about the fantastic work that they do. Hi, Drasco. He just sent a message. Lovely to see you, Drasco. And also to hear more about what is possible for that particular partnership. This year as well, I also set up a meetup subscription to advertise our guest speakers and volunteering opportunities outside of our existing club networks. I'm really pleased to report that over 3 months pre-COVID-19, we actually recruited 43 members who were interested in volunteering to that particular group. And we got around half a dozen of them actually converting into a volunteering opportunity through Second Bite, which is fabulous. It's been really great to see so many of our members as well connecting through new technologies such as WhatsApp, which was an initiative of the Membership Engagement Committee and Shanti, and also seeing that particular committee introduce or trial a buddy system to complement the fantastic work that Mary Barry put in place the year before with the mentoring program. And finally, as Cynthia has just very briefly mentioned, we've really enjoyed continued engagement with our honorary members, in particular Professor Peter Doherty, Professor Hugh Taylor, Dr. Alan Finkel and the Lord Mayor Sally Capp, particularly over this last quarter with the COVID-19. And we really look forward to continuing to build on the relationships with those people throughout the centenary year and of course into 22-23. Thank you.
Thank you, Mandy. Now, Director of Events and Fundraising, Dorothy Gilmore, has a large portfolio of responsibilities, including the club's community foundation, which has doubled contributions, meetings, which are now videoed and recorded, as you will hear. She's also responsible for the International Women's Day breakfast, which raised over $40,000 for our club projects that Phil mentioned, and of course R100. Now, as everyone knows, we're building up to a very special year, 2021, the centenary of Rotary Melbourne. It will also be the centenary of Sydney, Auckland and Wellington, which were inaugurated just after us. We will be a part of a moment in history and we will make our own history. The champion of this wide-ranging project, Hugh Bucknell, has requested that we play the following message from the Governor-General.
In challenging times, it is the strength of family and community that see us through. For nearly 100 years, Rotary has been an integral part of the Australian and New Zealand community, its members selflessly serving communities in many ways. More recently, Rotary has been a reassuring presence for people impacted by natural disasters and the COVID-19 pandemic.
Next year's centenary of Rotary provides an opportunity for Rotary clubs from Australia and New Zealand to celebrate Rotary's first 100 years of service. There is much to celebrate, with significant achievements in the fields of water security, education, agriculture and health, just to name a few. And in a post-COVID-19 world, there will be plenty of potential projects worthy of consideration.
As ambassadors, David and I want to thank all Rotary clubs that have begun planning a centenary project. Signature Rotary projects will propel the organisation into the next century of community service, serve to energise members and help attract new ones, and, most importantly, strengthen our communities to ensure they can withstand the challenges ahead.
One of the characteristics of Rotarians I admire greatly is their ability to think big. They are not afraid to tackle big projects. In dreaming big and achieving much, Rotary clubs and their members continue to make outstanding contributions to society. Thank you for your community service.
Thank you. And as the Governor-General said, there will be many celebratory activities involving multiple clubs around the country, including the launch of the Centenary Baton on the 10th of July by the Governor-General, a commemorative stamp and coin, a peace symposium, and 5 Rotary Melbourne centenary projects that will make a difference and leave a legacy. And these have already been mentioned by other members. In addition, there will be a significant anniversary event on our actual birthday, the 21st of April, and a gala on the 1st of May. Watch this space. So in these unprecedented times, communications have been central to keeping our boat afloat and bringing new people along with us. Not only is there the bulletin, but huge thanks to Ari Talantis, as well as Dorothy, Mark and Joe. Rotary Melbourne also has its own website. We are on Facebook, YouTube, podcasts, Instagram and LinkedIn. While I suspect some of us need to be dragged along by the coattails, what a giant step into future opportunities has been taken. Over to our Director of Communications, Adrian Nelson.
I saw the sun begin to dim and felt that winter wind blow cold. A man learns who's there for him, and the glitter fades and the walls won't hold. 'Cause from then rubble, what remains can only be what's true. If all was lost, it's more I gained, 'cause it led me back to you. And from now on, these eyes will not be blinded by the light. From now on, what's waited till tomorrow starts tonight. Tonight. And let this promise in me start like an anthem in my heart. From now on, from now on.
Well, Adrian, I'm sure you'll be available for sign-ups after the session. Lastly, I just want to mention an initiative that's risen from the lockdown. While we've been meeting online, as we all know, members and guests have had the opportunity to purchase a virtual lunch from Joe's Creative Range, the finest food and wine, to cheap and cheerful. These funds have gone into the Fighting Fund, specifically to support members, Rotary partners and businesses hit by the pandemic. This fund provides an opportunity to enhance our ability to keep members involved. We are taking steps to enable those in need to seek help privately, and the Fighting Fund now has in excess of $7,000. And I'd like you to know particularly that the changeover raffle is likely to double this. So if you're looking to win some brilliant wine, get in early. There are only 150 tickets, and purchase them on the try booking link on the flyer. Thank you for a memorable year. It certainly has had a momentous end. I'm sure the delight we all felt after lockdown will be replicated when we can all meet again. Thank you.
Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
Kevin, I think you need to be unmuted.
I do, thank you.
You were speechless, Kevin.
I'm just blown away. Oh, there's tears in my eye. That was one heck of a Vice President's reporting day. Thank you, David. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you to all the contributors. I must say, though, Hugh Bucknell with the Governor General and Mrs. Hurley, absolutely fantastic. I know you've been working on that for a long time. Wonderful achievement. Adrian Nelson, your talents have now been well known and well established. You will be lent on for more brilliant segments like that. Very well done. Well, all I can say is what a wonderful year it's been. And again, thank you to our vice presidents, all the committee chairs, all the team leaders. A great effort. And there's a lot of quiet achievers in that equation too. Many of them were mentioned today. I know with the seniors lunch, it flashed across the screen. Sometimes there's too many to mention, but there are so many quiet achievers that just keep plodding along each year with a project, greatly appreciated. And we've had the opportunity during the year to cameo some of those from the podium and of course on our online meetings. So in conveying thanks again to everyone who's put today together, I thank visitors and guests for joining us. I congratulate our Paul Harris Fellows. I congratulate our new member, and I congratulate our Royce Abbey awardee. A reminder that next week's meeting is the changeover event when we welcome President Marion McLeod and her leadership team. An entertaining program, I'm told, is promised, so please make sure you are registered to attend via try-booking. In the meantime, stay safe, spread kindness, and now I close the meeting with our national anthem.